Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to Centurion's Review. This is All Things Zombie, the board game. It's a pretty old game. I really like it though. I'm just going to show you guys the rules here. I'm going to do a scenario that I made up. It's not one of the built-in scenarios. Basically, the scenario is Tonya here hooked up with some guy last night, and when she woke up in the morning, not only was he gone, but her submachine gun was gone. So all she's got left now as far as weapons is a pistol, and she's really worried. So she talked to her friend Beck, and her friend Beck said that she knows of a building where a guy used to live that was a hunter, and he may have a hunting rifle or a shotgun. It's this building right here. So their scenario is they have to get on the board, fight through any zombies they encounter, and go to that building and see if there's a rifle or a shotgun there so she can rearm herself, because having just a pistol in the apocalypse isn't a good thing, so she needs something better. Let me explain what the numbers on the counters mean here. The 5 for Tonya is her rep. That's used when shooting and for initiative. The next number is her movement, that's a 4, and the next number is a 2. That's the amount of dice she throws in melee. And as you see here, she has a star. That means she's a special character, which means that some of the tests that are taken in this game, such as a being charged test or a wanting to charge test, she can choose the results. The other good thing is if Beck here, who is not a star character, is next to her, and a 5 is rolled for initiative, that would normally mean that Tonya could go, but Beck could not. But since Beck is next to her, Beck will also get to go. So being adjacent to a star character lets you use their initiative, which is good. Here's the equipment they're starting with. Tonya is starting with a med kit, which will remove 1 wound. It costs 1 action. She has a really good piece of equipment here known as a vest. It's like a bulletproof vest, so it gives her plus 1d6 in melee. And in scenarios where she's fighting other characters, it can help if she's being shot at. And then she has a pistol. The pistol has a 3-1 here. The 3-1 means it has a range of 3, and 1 means it throws 1 dice, and the 1 here means it costs 1 point if you're playing a scenario where you have a certain amount of points you can use to buy equipment. And she starts with 0 wounds. When she gets to 2 wounds, her counter flips, and then she has weaker stats, and obviously if she gets the skull and crossbones, she's no longer with us. And she has a special skill saying she's a crafty veteran of the zombie wars. Whenever required to roll a dice, she may re-roll 1 dice, but she has to keep the re-roll. Back here, the only equipment she has is a submachine gun. That has a range of 3, but it throws 4 dice. And then she starts with 0 wounds, and when she gets to 2, she flips. But it takes 4 to kill her, whereas Tonya, she'll die... it takes 3 for Tonya to die, 4 for Beck to die. And then Beck is agile, which means in melee she can require her adversary to reroll 1 melee die, and she has to accept the reroll, so that really helps out in melee. We also have some cards here. These are the zombie cards. Whenever you enter a building, you draw a zombie card, which means there could be anywhere from 0 zombies up to, I believe, 7. You're in trouble if there's 7 in there usually. And there's also a loot card, which means after you clear the building, you can draw a loot card and you can get a weapon or a special piece of equipment. And once in a while, a loot card will just be another zombie that you found. So on the first turn, the zombies don't get to move, but the player characters enter the board, and they show where they're entering. So Tonya is going to enter here. They can enter on a half hex. And so when she enters, you roll 6 dice, and on a 4, 5, or 6, that means a zombie comes on the board, and we'll explain that in a second. So she generated 3 zombies. So we draw 3 zombies from a cup. And you look at each one. I don't know if you can see this on here, but where the 4 is here, that shows what direction the zombies are from her. So it's 6 hexes from her in that direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the next one's actually the direction coming off the board, so which means that if that happens, it just comes onto the board in the nearest place, which would be right there. And then Another one coming in that same direction, so she's got two coming in here. And now it's Beck's turn to decide where she's going to come in the board. She's chosen this location, so we'll roll 6d6 for her. And 4 5s and 6s are zombies. So we got 3 6s. That means that 3 zombies are coming on board. Sorry if this isn't showing up on the camera, but they are coming in all the way to the right of her, which means that instead they'll come in on this hex, or he will rather. And this one's coming in from the same direction, so he'll come in on that hex. And the third one, he's coming in from right next to Tonya, so we'll roll to see if he's coming up here or here. 1 through 3, the one on top, so he'll come in the board over here. So now they get to take their movement. Like I said, on the first turn, the zombies don't get the move, so they can ignore the zombies for the meantime or decide what they're going to do. There's also really, on the first turn, it's not clear if there's an initiative or not, but obviously all the player characters get initiative, so I just assume they do. So Tonya is going to go first. She wants to charge, and normally a character would have to roll to charge the zombies, but since she's a star character, she can choose her reaction, so she chooses the pass, which is charge. So she moves into the space with the zombies, and there's 3 zombies there. The 3 zombies will roll 3 dice, and she will roll 3 dice. So let's go for the zombies first. They have a rep of 4. I almost forgot, Tonya, since she's on a space with zombies, she does have to take a being charged test, but she's a star, she gets to choose her reaction, so she's going to choose to be able to fire and then melee, so she'll fire her pistol, and that's a 4 plus her rep of 5, and it's clear space, so at a 9, it's a hit, since they're not in a rough hex. So one will immediately die, and then they'll do their melee. So he dies, and the zombies will get to throw 2, and she will throw 3. So zombies roll 2 and get one success. She rolls 3 and gets 1 success, so it's a lock and nothing happens. Beck is going to fire now at the zombies with her submachine gun, which gets 4 shots. So let's see how many successes she gets. She gets 3 successes, so all the zombies here are dead. But here's the bad part. Every bullet you fire in this game gets you a shot counter. So she gets 4 shot counters here, which means at the end of the turn she's going to have to roll 4 times to see if zombies come on the board. So let's roll the 4 times. A 4, 5, and 6, so 3 zombies come on board. So she killed 2, but brought 3 more on board, so that's a problem. Sometimes the submachine gun actually is bad if you fire it. So this comes in on this direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next one comes into the right, so we'll roll to see where it comes in. Gets a 3, so it'll come in right there. And the other one's to the right too, so we'll roll again. Comes in here, so she's in basically the same shape as she was the previous turn, now actually a little bit worse off. So now we'll go to the next turn. So now we're rolling for initiative. The black dice belongs to the zombies. Alright, the good news is all the player characters get to go. The bad news is so do the zombies, and the zombies get to go first. So these 2 zombies will move into Beck's hex. And this one moves forward 1, 2. He moves around the building 3, 4. This goes 3, 1, 2, 3. They move towards the nearest character. Beck is not a star, so she has to take a being charged reaction test. So I roll 2d6, and she passes on 2d6. Those who can will fire and then melee. So she gets a chance to fire her submachine gun again, which could hurt her in the long run. And she gets 3 hits. So she kills all the zombies, but she's got her shot 4 counter again. Now Tonya is in combat still with these 2 zombies here, so she gets to choose her being charged reaction test. She is going to choose to pass on just 1d6. She doesn't want to fire her pistol because there's enough shot counters on the board, so they will roll 2 and she will roll 3. They roll 2 and they get 0 successes. She rolls 3 and gets 3 successes, so she kills one of them. The most character can kill, player character can kill in melee is 1, if you're wondering. So 3 successes doesn't kill 3 zombies, it only kills 1. However, the zombies, if they have you outnumbered, if at least 4 are attacking you, and they score 3 times as many successes as you, then you would take 2 wounds instead of 1, so they have a little bit of an advantage in that case. So both survivors get to go. So Beck's going to move here because she wants to be next to Tonya and leave the shot counter there. And Tonya's just going to fire that zombie. Or excuse me, fight it. So the zombie gets 1 and she gets 3. 2 successes for her, 1 for the zombie, so the zombie's gone. Now it's the end of the turn, we got to resolve that shot counter again. Alright, that brings 2 on board. This is the where they're coming from over there. Alright, that direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is coming from off the board there, so he'll just come in right here, and then the shot counter is gone. So as you can see, guns are a two-edged sword in this. If you fire them too much, you may never get rid of all the zombies. So I'm going to see if I can do something where Beck doesn't fire this turn or something, because that submachine gun's becoming problematic. Alright, so let's roll for initiative. Player characters do not get initiative, so they can only react this turn. However, the zombies get to go. So this zombie will attack Tonya. And these two, Tonya and Beck, are both 2 away from this one, so we roll to see who it attacks. This one will attack Beck. And this one is 1, 2, 3. He's 3 away from both, so we'll have to see which he attacks. He attacks Beck too. And this one will go 1. We have to see if he goes right or left. He will go right, 2, 3. Alright, let's resolve the one with Tonya first. She chooses to only pass 1 of her dice for the reaction test for being charged, so she won't fire. So the zombie rolls 1 and fails, and she rolls 3. And she gets 2 successes, so Mr. Zombie has left the world. Alright, now Beck is being charged. We have to roll for her because she's not a star. She rolls 2 and passes both, which is terrible. She will fire and then melee. I'm going to put on her turn, when it comes to her turn, I'm going to put the weapon in her backpack so she can't fire it anymore. So she fires now. And she kills 1, 2 of them. But she's got that damn shot 4 counter again. Alright, now it's the player character's turn, and they don't get a turn because of their initiative. So we have to take care of the shot 4. So 2 zombies come in again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one comes in the same direction. So we start up a new turn. Alright, characters get initiative, and including Beck since she's next to Tonya, and the zombies do too. But the characters rolled higher, so they will go first. So the first thing Beck is going to do for her action is she's putting her submachine gun in her pack because we can't have zombies coming from her shot counters every turn. So that's all she's going to do. Tonya chooses to do a wanting to charge test, and she passes it automatically since she's a star, so she charges this zombie here. Zombie rolls 1. He fails. She rolls 3. She gets 2 successes, and the zombie is no longer with us. Alright, these zombies here get to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And that's the end of the turn. So we'll roll again for initiative. There was no shot counter this turn, so that's good. Player characters do not get to go. They can only react, but the zombies get to go. So both of them are close enough to Tonya, so they will charge her. She chooses to only pass one of her dice on her being charged test, so she will just melee. So they roll 2, and they pass them both. She rolls 3, and she passes all 3, so she kills 1 zombie. And it's the end of the turn since there's no shot counters out. Roll again. It's the same, so you have to roll again. Alright, everyone gets initiative, but the characters go first. So Tonya will choose to... She gets her to choose her being charged reaction test, and so she'll choose just melee. So she gets 3, and the zombie gets 1. Zombie fails. She gets 1 success, or 3 successes rather. And the zombie's gone. And as I mentioned on her sheet, if she would have rolled a 6, she could have re-rolled it because that's her special ability. Beck chooses to move right here because she knows Tonya's going to do that. So anyhow, Tonya can't move because she already meleeed, and melee's at the last part of your action phase. So anyhow, end a turn. Start a new turn. Zombies don't get to do anything, and there's none on the board anyways, but both player characters get to activate. So she would go 1, 2, and it costs 2 to enter the building. 3, 4. She stops there and puts an entered counter on the building. And now we flip a zombie card to see how many zombies are in the building. There's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. She chooses to pass her being charged test so she can shoot at the 4 zombies with her tiny little pistol. That's going to be a 5 and 8. I think that's a... Let me see. Target is... Yeah, that's a hit. So she kills 1 zombie. So now it's melee time. I'm sorry, I screwed that up. Let's do that again. There's no being it's not really a being charged test. There's 4 zombies there, so they will roll a d6 and add 4. So they're at 8, and now she rolls a d6 and adds it to her rep. So 6 plus 5 is 11. So that's what shows if she gets to shoot or if she gets to leave if she wants to. So she shot, and we'll keep their die roll from before, and she killed 1. Sorry about that. So now it's melee. It's 3. They got 3, and she's got 3. So they roll. They get 2 successes. She will roll. And she gets to re-roll that. And she gets 2 successes, so it's locked. Nothing happens. Beck's there. she can't enter. One thing about this game is only one player character is allowed on a space, so Beck can't enter the melee and help. She can fire from her gun from the hex next door, but she's not gonna, one, because it's in her pack, and two, because she doesn't want a shot counter out. But yeah, a lot of miniature games, it's taboo and to fire into melee, but in this game it's allowed, but whatever, it's still a good game. It's just a little weird. If you play a lot of miniature games, you usually can't do that, but this is a board game, not a miniature game. So, the zombies didn't get a turn because they didn't roll good initiative, so no one fired, so we'll roll initiative. So just the player characters will go. So she chooses to pass only one dice of her. No, she'll choose to pass both so she can fire up her pistol. She misses, but now there's a shot counter. So it's 3-3. Let's roll for the zombies. Zombies pass 2. She will roll. She passes 3, so she kills a zombie. That's good. Beck's not going to do nothing. So we'll take care of this shot counter. That's a 4, so 1 does come on the board. This comes from this direction, right here. So let's see who's got initiative. Zombies don't get to go, but both player characters get to go. Let me get rid of that shot counter. So how many zombies are there? There's 2 zombies and Tonya. So they get 2 dice. They pass 1. She rolls 3 dice. And she passes a total of 3, but it only kills 1 of them. Alright, zombies don't get to go this turn. There's no shot counter, so new turn. Zombies still don't get to go, but both player characters get to go. So Tonya's going to choose to just pass 1 of the dice on her being charged test, so she just melees. So bad guy rolls 1, he fails, she rolls 3. She passes all 3, so the zombie is dead. The melee happens after your action phase, so she can't search the building yet. Oops, I had that on the wrong side. It's just supposed to be on the entered side. So next turn she'll have to search. Let's roll and see who's got initiative. Zombies still don't get to go, but the player characters do. So she will search. And here's her loot card. She finds the hunting rifle she was looking for. See if I can find the counter. Here it is. So we put the hunting rifle in her pack, and then she gets to move. So she moves off the board with her hunting rifle, and Beck moves off, and it's a complete victory. Anyhow, I just wanted to show you guys how the game worked. I know I made a few mistakes there, but I hope you get the general idea of how the game works. And also remember, there is a built-in scenario where you fight against humans, and there's no reason why you can't write your own scenarios that have you fighting against humans. So now I'll go to my review portion of the video. So what I think of all things zombie, I really liked it. There are a few areas needing improvement though. The first is the rule book. There's some areas, I'd call them gray areas, where I wasn't quite sure of a rule. And so I had to jump online and basically see how everyone else was playing it. And then I just used their playing examples as the rules. I think someone released a FAQ too and stuff, but yeah, there's a few areas in the rules that I wasn't sure of. And let's see, the stacking limit takes some getting used to. I wouldn't call it bad, but it takes getting used to. You cannot have two player characters on the same space, so if you happen to be in combat or melee rather, with 7 zombies, you're alone, and the only thing the other characters can do is shoot into melee, which causes shot counters, which means more zombies can come on the board. So if you're in combat with 7 zombies and someone fires a shotgun, which counts as 6 shots, where you just keep the 3 highest, and then they roll at the end of the turn for the shot counters, you might get 6 more zombies on the board, which is a disaster. So that's one thing to worry about. And I've played a lot of miniature games. This is not a miniature game, it's a board game, so this is forgivable since it's a board game. But in a miniature game, you can never shoot into melee unless there's a rule that says that if you shoot into melee, you then have to roll a die to see if it hits you or if it hits the enemy. So it's very taboo that this game allows shooting into melee. I mean, it's a board game, so it's forgivable, but that took a lot of getting used to, and the stacking limit of just 1 player character per hex took a lot of getting used to. But once you get used to it, the game is just so much fun. The first scenario is hard because you're starting with very little equipment, and in the first scenario, basically, you have to find 2 weapons, if I recall correctly, and you're searching buildings, and I don't know, maybe I just had bad luck. I walk into the first building and there's 7 zombies, which is a big problem since I don't have much equipment. And so after they kill one of my characters, the other one searches the house, and it turns out to be an empty house. And the loot deck has a lot of empty room cards, which normally isn't a problem, but in the first scenario it is, because you have to find 2 weapons. And so when there's that many empty rooms, it's a real problem. So they should have had you remove some of the empty room cards for the first scenario. I had to play the first scenario, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 times before I finally won the scenario. Scenarios 2 through 6 are easier. I really enjoyed them. They were a lot of fun. In those scenarios, you get points, and a certain amount of points to pick your equipment, which is fun because after you've played a few games, you kind of can tell what kind of equipment is more important and which equipment is less important. And there's one piece of equipment I really liked. It's a crossbow. I mean, it only has a rate of fire of 1, but it doesn't go bang when you shoot it, which means it's not going to attract the zombies. So you can fire it at zombies without attracting more. You don't get a shot counter, so that was good. There's a scenario where you fight against other humans, which is really cool because they're armed to the teeth also. And normally when you play this game, it's a cooperative game. You're either playing solo and playing all the player characters by yourself, or you're playing with some of your buddies, and each person has 1 or more player characters. But when you're fighting against the humans, that means one of your buddies gets to be the opposing force. So then instead of being a cooperative game, it becomes a competitive game. So that's really cool. I like that. There's another scenario where I think it had a turn limit, and you have to make your way to a building, which is like basically a fortified building, and you have to hold. I think there's a lot of player characters in that scenario. I don't know, maybe 6 or something, and you have to hold out for a certain amount of turns. I don't know if it was 12 turns or 15 turns. I really enjoyed that scenario. That was fun. I mean, that's a true zombie scenario. I mean, fortify a building and just try to hold off the zombies, so it's almost like Rourke's Drift or something, so that's really cool. The last scenario, you used all 4 boards, so you keep moving on the map, and when you move off one board, you move on to another, so that was kind of cool too. So I really enjoyed scenarios 2 through 6, didn't particularly care for scenario 1. And then as you saw, I wrote some of my own scenarios. That's where the game gets really cool, because you can write any kind of scenario you want. I mean, you can get real creative and stuff. And another thing I liked about the game is that when you play the 6 scenarios in order, they have a small storyline. It's a very small story, but it's a coherent storyline. It's just like a paragraph for each scenario, but it's kind of a little bit like a role-playing game. Then you're actually playing through a story, so that's cool. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, this game's definitely a winner. I don't know if it's still in production. I know they've come out with successors to this game, like All Things Zombie Reloaded, and there might be another one too, so I don't know if this original one they're still selling, but if you find it on eBay or something, I'd pick it up. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. I prefer it to probably, I like it better than any other zombie board game I've played, even though there was some issues with it, so that says a lot. Definitely better than Tiny Epic Zombies. I could not get into Tiny Epic Zombies. I'd much rather play this. This game's fun. So anyhow, if you see this, buy it. I really like the game. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please click like on the video. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel. And as always, have a good evening.